Today, we're going to talk about how many things can you do with Solid Edge 2021? And the answer is a lot. We're going to look at a bunch of different aspects of Solid Edge, and hopefully you're going to get to see what a robust software this is. Just very briefly about myself, my name is Dan Turk, and I'm an application engineer with Geometric Solutions. And I've been using Solid Edge for some time, and I can say that the synchronous technology, if you give it a chance, you will be impressed. A little bit about the company that I work for. So I work for Geometric Solutions, and we sell Siemens software. But our family of companies, we have an engineering company in WALTONEN, but then we also have a manufacturing facility with Independence Tooling Solutions. So when it comes to designing to building, we can do it. It's exemplified best by our owner. He said, "Our ability to successfully partner with our customers comes from our experience in using the tools we sell every day." And that's really a good quote, because that's what it is that we are partners with our customers. So looking at our agenda for today, as I said, we're going to be looking at a lot with Solid Edge 2021. We're going to look at mechanical design, design at the speed of creative thought with new subdivision modeling, lightning fast reverse engineering, a new user interface that's powered by artificial intelligence, and an intelligent 3D model search engine. Probably the one you're most curious about is something that's powered by AI. We'll get into that. Electrical design. Enable fast, accurate 2D layout of industrial control panels with new cabinet design capabilities. Simulation. Optimize and validate designs with tighter integration between flow and structural simulation. Manufacturing. Speed up NC programming with a searchable post-processor database, new fast roughing and adaptive milling. Technical publications. Produce high-quality documents and illustrations faster directly from your 3D models. The data management. Take control of your data. Don't let your data control you. We'll show how you can save time and money with rapid concept modeling and a really cool function called shape search capabilities. And then lastly, cloud-based collaboration. Everything's going to the cloud, right? Well, Solid Edge also has the ability to harness the cloud to edit and share CAD files, and also to do so much more. And there's a lot to this release of Solid Edge 2021. Really, it's been called one of the best releases that they've had in years. And so we're going to dive in and get a good first look at Solid Edge 2021 and see what can it do for you. But to start with, let's think about this a little bit differently than just looking at CAD. I want to start with the question, where can digital transformation take you? How can you use digital transformation to make your business more productive and more profitable? There have typically been three different pieces to your business process. You have design, where you're designing products. Then you have to realize those products. You have to turn them into something that's real through a production process. And then lastly, you optimize. You optimize the products. Typically after they've been in the field for quite a while, well, then you get some input back, and now you know how to make an even better product. And what's happening is that these worlds, these three worlds, they're collapsing. Design, manufacture, and optimization are pulling tightly together. You have to think of the digital twin not so much as just a CAD digital twin, but also a manufacturing digital twin, in which you take data from the field in a tight, closed loop and bring it back to the design and manufacture to make your products better. And this is what Accelerator enables: digital transformation. With a comprehensive digital twin at the core, design, realize, and optimize. Model-based systems, collaboration, and analytics create the unique digital fabric, getting you to the future fast and most importantly, getting you to the future predictably. It's important to understand that Solid Edge is so much more than just a CAD system. Sure, it does have the best mechanical design in the marketplace, but what about the rest of the things you need to do as a business? Electrical design, simulation, manufacturing. Well, that's included in the Solid Edge portfolio, along with tech pubs, data management. So regardless of how small your company is or how large it is, you'll be able to find a good use with Solid Edge, and especially with the cloud-based collaboration as well. The full portfolio of Solid Edge is not only available to commercial customers, but it's also available to students and startups. And rather than just being MCAD or mechanical CAD, we have the ability to have these different areas combined. So you can have MCAD, ECAD or electrical CAD, tech pubs, and it's all available and completely free for these groups. Now let's introduce Solid Edge 2021 and how it can help you to start your digital transformation journey. We're going to be using a data set to talk through the enhancements, and it's a machine that makes ice pops or popsicles. And we got this from a customer, Finamac. So Finamac, it's kind of neat. They had this great idea, and they thought, how can we take aerospace technology and then apply it to our machinery that makes ice cream, popsicles, chocolates, things like that. They've really transformed their business while disrupting an industry, and they've done this by leveraging the digital transformation, the digital twin. If you take a look through their catalog, we can see all sorts of things that they make. Again, ice cream making machines, display cases, popsicle machines, and so on. The coolest thing about what you're looking at is that none of it is real. What you're seeing here is all digital twins. Every picture is straight from Solid Edge, rendered and then put right into their catalog. You're really seeing the full realization of the digital twin here with Finamac. Pretty cool. We begin with mechanical design. It's the core of what most of our customers do. And this year we have this really new and neat tool called Subdivision modeling. There's also fast reverse engineering, artificial intelligence, and some other things that you're really going to enjoy. So let's go ahead and get started with this first section. So we'll go through these one by one. Now, these are just a few of the things that we're going to highlight today. There's a bunch of new stuff within Solid Edge 2021, but we don't have all day to show you. We've only got about an hour. So let's go ahead and start by talking about subdivision modeling. Now, this is an amazing technology because you're able to create beautiful shapes, kind of swoopy surfaces, if you will, like we see in this part. And the neat thing about this is that prior to this subdivision modeling technology, if you really wanted to do surfacing, it was more specialized. You had to have an expert surfacer who was able to get this accomplished, but not anymore. Let's take a look at how we're able to do this with Solid Edge 2021. So let's jump into this Finamac machine, and we're going to focus on the design of the portable controller. So Sub-D or subdivision modeling enables you to develop distinctive organic shaped products without the need for expert knowledge. So if you're not the best at surfacing, that's okay. So we start with a little sketch. We get that initial shape. Starts with a box, and then we start to push out the lower portion of our part. We then can take and subdivide, or we can split these surfaces. A simple lift operation adds the necessary faces to the model. The blend function can be used to control how sharp or smooth certain edges are. And while you may expect to have only smooth blends, that's not the only case in Solid Edge. You could choose to have sharp blends if you would like. Then to make the cutout for the screen, it's just a matter of pushing and pulling to get the desired results. A lot of parts have to be designed symmetrically. Well, with subdivision modeling, you can see just how easy it is. And if you're familiar with synchronous technology and the steering wheel, it's not a problem at all. Now, next up, we're going to put a notch in the top of this part. And it's really neat because it's just a simple face operation is all we need to do. And to help keep track of the edges, we can show the blend values at any time to every edge, every vertex. Next up, we're going to create the handle. And what I want to preface with this is we're not going to bring in a part, but rather we're just going to take a chunk, put it into space, and now we're just going to shape everything right on the fly. So we get the arm, the next radius, and then this shape. And you notice just how quickly that was done. It's important to note that traditional solid and surfacing modeling techniques, they can be integrated. You could use an existing surface to split the geometry and then thicken it to create a raised portion on the handle. Of course, you can go on and add further details using traditional modeling methods. But just take a look at something that we've done here, something that would have taken hours, if not days, and yet with solid edge and subdivision modeling, we're talking about just taking a matter of minutes. Pretty impressive. For myself, I've been in the industry for quite some time, and it is amazing to see something like that done right in front of us. And what you see is that it's really easy to create those shapes. You just use that polygonal cage, and then it takes a little while to get the hang of it, but once you do, it goes really, really fast. The great thing about it is that it's right inside Solid Edge. It's built in. There's no specialized tools, no other products to buy. All you need is Solid Edge. We're seeing some great feedback from customers around this. For example, Jason at Ditch Witch, and you can notice what he says. At Ditch Witch, they make these big pieces of equipment that move earth all around. And what they're trying to do is use more stylized shapes. Well, this technology is helping them to meet or exceed their goals. The next thing we're going to look at is reverse engineering. Now, reverse engineering, it's been around for a few years. And with Solid Edge, there's a continuation to invest in it. And what we're going to see next is what's new with 2021. So if we take a look at this reverse engineering, we can look at the deviation analysis. This allows you to measure the accuracy between the original scan and the resulting engineered model, or even two different scans. You could bring them together to compare. And you'll notice we have a color code on the right. So red means it exceeds, blue means it goes into the negative. And then we get all this other information that's coming out. And we can adjust the type of information that we're getting at any time. And you'll notice just how easy it is for the model to recompute. So you can make sure that the model that you've created from the scan, that it's actually going to fit what you want. So that new capability, what used to take minutes, is now just taking seconds. And what are we really using? What are we really utilizing? But the digital twin. And that is a really nice tool that we have. The next thing we're going to look at is the adaptive UI. And this is pretty cool because it introduces artificial intelligence that's going to predict what you're going to do next. So how does it do that? Well, it takes a look at how you're doing your modeling, and then it uses that algorithm to figure out, all right, if you always add a round after an extrude, well, likely that's what you're going to do next. Let's take a look at this in action. So keep your eyes on the top left of the screen. Solid Edge, it includes this AI-based assistant in its user interface that predicts the next command that you're going to be doing. So if we use that Finamac machine, there's lots of sheet metal work that's going on. And in Solid Edge 2021, it has learned from the design engineer. And then rather than presenting tools that are used across the industry, which would be okay, it presents tools that are commonly used to this individual, which is excellent. That's right, Solid Edge 2021, it's now tailored to you. And what's more, it continues to learn as you continue to work. And it's really interesting to watch as it dynamically presents the next tool. And that's even going from one environment to the next, from sheet metal into sketching. Now, as I said, keep your eyes on the top left of the screen, and you'll notice we have just one little toolbar. Just one. Isn't that amazing? To think that we used to have buttons and buttons and buttons, and yet now we can reduce it with AI. Just as a note, if you like to have all sorts of buttons, you still can, but you also have the ability to use this AI. You can see how this will be personalized for you. So the way it reacts on the first day is different than how it's going to react the next day or a week from now. And another nice thing about this is if you're the power user at your company, you can give your interface to the new users. That way, when they're creating their models, they're going to do it the right way. In the area of core CAD enhancements, we've got a lot of work going on. As we said, there's no way we can cover everything that's in this release. But what we wanted to show you was just a couple of the things that we can do on a day-to-day basis. So let's jump into that Finamac popsicle machine. It's actually called the Pop Circle machine. Now, first off, we're using a large assembly model here to make the most of your computer's resources and then to keep things performing as you would want. We can see that on the top left. And there's also more to help with the performance here too. It's a common practice for suppliers to provide a 3D file of purchased items, such as this piston assembly. Using the new internal components option, all separate parts are contained within one assembly file, with no parts written to disk. This enables faster import times, especially on larger data sets. And then you can see that that cylinder is still going to act the way that we would expect it to. And then when we assemble this, it's just a couple of button clicks. We can see it swinging around just like we would want. Reusing designs is now easier. When copying and pasting multiple parts and assemblies between designs, existing assembly relationships are automatically captured and reused in the target assembly. A step-by-step process guides you through the operations to add the external relationships required to fully position your parts. And then all those internal relationships, well, they stick. And so you get all of that too. There's also a new tool called multi-edge. This is a really nice flange tool because multiple edges, they can be selected with one button click. Then you can add miters automatically simply by pushing and pulling. We can also use partial or center flanges that can easily be defined with different trim options as well. These sheet metal enhancements, along with many others, increase productivity and efficiency by being able to design parts faster and easier. There's another neat thing that we have, and that is a decal command. We've got this cool part. Well, now we want to put our company's name on there. You'll notice that adding a decal, it just couldn't be any easier. We're simply putting it on a surface, then putting a sketch to size everything up, and getting that just like the way that we would want it. Next up is enhancements in frame design. Here we're going to take and place a cross frame which has coping applied so that it matches the circular cross section of the vertical frame. What's nice is we can specify the weld gap between these two frames. The new endcaps command allows a quick definition of these type of parts within a frame. This single command provides a wide range of options. Simply select the frame cross-section, choose the material, specify the type, and then choose different types, inward, outward, or even defined. And then what's nice is we can have end caps built right into it, eliminating any additional work. There's some really great stuff in here. And like we said a couple of times, this is just a little preview. When it comes to that large assembly performance, what we're finding is that our customers, they're making larger and larger and larger assemblies. And we need those computers to be able to keep up. So that's how this performance comes in. Internal components. This is a really neat feature because it allows us to import an engine that has some 300 parts and then add it into the assembly as just one part. But then we don't have to worry about how much data it's taking up because all the internal parts are internal. The sheet metal advances are really amazing. Solid Edge is the king of sheet metal, and some will think of them as the sheet metal guys. Well, you could see by one button click, being able to make that many flanges, very impressive. A lot of machinery customers, they're building their machines with lots of frames. So that new frame command, you can just see how powerful that is and how easy it's going to make your life. And then last but not least, decals. Everything we make, we want everyone to know it's ours. But we were able to take and simply put a decal, not just on a flat surface, but did you notice that it was across multiple surfaces? That is a really nice implementation. We can see another quote here from one of our customers that's enjoying the Solid Edge 2021. And they're really enjoying it because of sheet metal, and specifically that multi-flange tool. The next thing we're going to look at is supplier catalogs. We may have on our desk stacks and stacks of books, or anymore, we may have tons of PDF files. But what if there was a way to take all of these books, all of these PDF files, put them in one place, and then be able to use that data? Well, that's what we've done with this version of Solid Edge. Let's take a look. So what we're using is 3D Find It, which is powered by Cadenas. Now here we're searching for a cable gland and we're just using text. So we're going to start to narrow down that search and just be able to find the part that we're looking for. You can see the different sizes and shapes. We can then visualize this 3D model for the part or even a 2D drawing. And then we select the relevant individual parameters of the part. And as you saw, with one button click, it's added into Solid Edge. So you can see this is going to save a lot of time. And of course, time is money. The problem with supplier catalogs is we just can't ever find anything. So we'll stick with one supplier just because we know that they make it. Well, with 3D Find It powered by Cadenas, there's now more than 1,500 of these catalogs. And did you notice the last bullet point? If you're using Teamcenter, it's fully integrated. Another quote from the folks at Ditch Witch, they are really enjoying this functionality, and you will too. The next thing we're going to talk about is electrical design. And that's because machines today, it's not just all mechanical things. It's not just mechanical design, but a lot of times there's a lot of electronics that goes along with it. We could say that it's the electronics becoming integrated with mechanical. And that's again part of that digital twin that we're talking about. We'll take the electrical and mechanical, we call it electromechanical. Now let's take a look at how Solid Edge is able to help with this. So there's all this talk about the electrical design. The first thing is wiring design. Now that's a really important thing coming out of Solid Edge 2021, and that is cabinet and panel design. It's a whole different thing when you're wiring a tractor or a car than when you're creating an industrial control panel and cabinet that go into machines that you're designing. And we have a bunch of tools that can help. But let's see this in action. So here we are in Solid Edge wiring and harness design. We're going to add the existing electrical design from the Finamac machine by laying it on the machine control panel. So Solid Edge has new cabinet panel capabilities that will allow us to reuse the schematic intelligence to generate the panel layout. Placing the correctly sized cabinet based on your specs, we can add additional items like back plates, channels, mounts, and all sorts of other hardware. We also add some wiring ducts. So here we'll place a series of channels. Dynamic dimensions provide accurate feedback, and an industry standard profiles are available. Then, using this mount command, we can add the necessary DIN rails to which we will attach the electrical components. Associating the new layout design to the schematic allows us to place the relevant logical electrical components. Placing these devices is really simple, and there's so many ways that this can be achieved. You can place just one, or you could place multiple. And there's also different shortcuts that you'll see that popped up there that will help us. Once we have our design complete, now we need a bill of materials. And this bill of materials is fully customizable, and it's automatically built for the layout design. Finally, for the panel is the terminal plan, which assists in the assembly and wiring of the terminal strips. The fully associative terminal plan tables are automatically generated, documenting the terminal blocks along their specific symbolic, physical sequence in the strip and details of where the wires terminate at both ends of each block. Now that the electrical documentation, we've got it done, now we have to get back with the NCAD, with those colleagues. And this is where we're able to have a connected mode, where we can see both items, the electrical on the left and the mechanical on the right. And then we're going to take and we're going to bridge in some of these conductors to connect these two cabinets together. So we'll get some wires, but what's nice is we can then bundle them together, and we don't want these wires going all over the place. So what we're able to do is have them follow along a frame simply by clicking a few buttons. That way it's nice and neat. So we get the route exactly where we want it, and look at that. That is looking good. So just watching this is kind of amazing, isn't it? Because the ability to take the electrical and mechanical and then connect those two items together so you can take a look at it in real time, that makes all the difference. And we want to point out too that there's upward compatibility, excuse me, when you use the Mentor products as well. So it has a good solid foundation. You got a glimpse of the routing, and what was nice is we routed along irregular geometry. So it could have been a sculpted shape, or it could have been one of those subdivided surfaces. With that connected mode, you can actually see what it's going to look like. And we also have some integration for third-party products as well. So in the area of harness design, to be clear, when I talk about harness design, it's not about the 3D efforts that mechanical engineers might think of, where you're just trying to get the wire from point A to point B. Harness design is really something that's done in 2D. So how are you going to lay out the harness for production so that it can be created? Well, here with Solid Edge, it's able to do that. You have the ability to visualize what you're getting and have full traceability as well. When it comes to PCBs or printed circuit boards, there's some good stuff here too. It's all about the collaboration between electrical and mechanical and the ability to bring design aspects back and forth. So that's what we're able to do with Solid Edge, is that full collaboration. Here we can see another quote from another happy customer. And here Matthew at WashTech, he's talking about the advantages that he has with the electromechanical capabilities of Solid Edge. So what are they doing? They are really utilizing the digital twin and having great success with it. The next thing we're going to look at is simulation. If you look at this picture, there is a lot going on here, isn't there? And we're going to actually get to see this in real life. But when it comes to simulation, we oftentimes will just think about stress analysis or vibrations, but there's really a lot more to it. What about the flow or how fans are going to work? Well, let's take a look at this. So we're going back to the pop circle machine. So Simcenter FLOEFD for Solid Edge features new capabilities and modules for electronics cooling applications. The new package creator specializes in the rapid creation of accurate thermal models of electronic packages with the correct definition of chip layers and solder balls on the chip. And that's what we're getting to see. We can see the effect on this PCB board. And then in turn, what's the effect it's going to have on the overall electronic enclosure? Well, then we can look at the flow trajectories around the area of the fan, and that's going to show us how is the air actually going to swirl around within the enclosure. And then we can see with this curve data, how are those fans actually operating? And you can see the end result is that really powerful, really cool image. In addition, with 2021, we're able to get the fluid dynamics and structural or thermal at the same. So focusing on the tank containing the liquid bath that freezes the popsicles, looking at the results of this thermal flow study, we can see how the cooling liquid interacts with the assembly. Now let's get the structural analysis set up. So something new for 2021 is the ability to suppress or remove any components directly from the simulation pathfinder. So make it easier for your geometry study. Then when defining the material for the insulating core, another neat feature is the ability to highlight key material properties that are required for the study. And we can see these as they're changing. You can see the colors in green. Our last step before solving our structural study is to import the FLOEFD pressure or thermal results. These are automatically applied directly to the correct bodies and faces in the study. And then what's the result? Well, we can see where the pressure from the cooling liquid is causing the highest areas of stress in our design. And it doesn't stop there. We also have the ability to probe just an edge. Ultimately, this saves us time from having to select each individual node. Like I've said, having been in the industry for quite some time, some of these things that we're looking at, you have to admit, are pretty amazing. Just to think about checking the thermal and the stress and how that reacts. The features around this flow simulation, it is just amazing. In addition to what you saw, the new electronic cooling center, it has a full suite of capabilities for electronics cooling. The other thing we've added is something called BCI ROM. And what does that mean to you? Well, probably nothing. But what it should mean is that analysis that take months of time can be reduced to minutes. And in these couple of minutes to run this simulation, it comes within 5% of the results of the 6-month study. So that's something that's pretty neat. The next up, manufacturing. So you can see we're taking that digital twin and we're just kind of going through the different steps. So let's take a look at manufacturing. And if you are using additive or subtractive, Solid Edge, it has the tools for you. So we're going to jump into Solid Edge CAM Pro. And what's really nice about this is there's now an online library for post processors. This, if you've done any machining, has always been the nightmare situation, trying to find a post that's going to work for you. And yet, with this online library, which post processor do you need? Can you find it? Well, there are a ton of them that are there. Solid Edge CAM Pro also has multi-axis roughing, which is a great tool for quickly removing stock from aerospace parts, like what we're seeing here. And this multi-axis roughing uses adaptive roughing technology to machine parts in the most efficient manner. And then we're able to actually view that path in replay mode. That way we can make sure what's happening is what we actually want to happen. We can then even run a dynamic simulation to actually see the material being removed. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us a great level of confidence in what we're doing. Also, we want to point out that Solid Edge CAM Pro, it supports a G-code based simulation, meaning the virtual machine, the digital twin of the machine we're looking at right now, it's acting upon the G-code just like the real machine is going to do. We also continue to push both additive and subtractive manufacturing forward. And you can see that with that new Post Hub library. If you're in manufacturing, that's probably what you're the most excited about. You also got to see the state-of-the-art multi-axis roughing. And then when it comes to additive, there's a whole bunch of things that we just didn't get a chance to look at today, but you can look at them at another time. And also bringing various additive checkers into one comprehensive additive checker just makes the whole thing a whole bunch easier to interact with. That was a mouthful. Next up, we're going to look at 2D nesting. So Solid Edge is the king of sheet metal. But when you have a bunch of sheet metal parts, you actually need to get those into a 2D flat pattern and then nest them. Well, what about all the different sizes, the different configurations? You don't want to waste any material. Well, check out what Solid Edge is able to do with this. So we're using that Finimac machine again. Lots of different sizes, different materials even. So we're going to go into Solid Edge 2D nesting. And what it does is it looks at the assembly and then it starts to sort the parts by material type and then by thickness. So then we can select the material type that we want for the job. We can also look at other projects that are going on in different parts of the company. The flat patterns, they're created automatically, saving a lot of time. And then they're brought in. And if you're using multiple instances of the same part within your assembly, this program, it identifies that. It also supports multiple sheet sizes. So standard sizes, they can be stored in a library, or you can just define your own custom sizes. And right here, as you're watching that algorithm take effect, it's finding the best possible solution to waste the least amount of material. Last but not least, There's also the ability to estimate the cost of our materials. So we can see from that nest how much money is that part actually going to cost when you can consider the scrapped factor. So 2D nesting, it is a great opportunity to improve your sheet metal process, and it's going to save you a lot of money. As I said, it's using this really efficient algorithm, the most efficient in the industry. But even if you have some really odd or kind of quirky shapes, like you can see on the image, Solid Edge 2D nesting, it's able to come up with it. And just with this tool, being able to save lots of time and lots of money, it's going to pay for itself after just a couple of projects. This might be something worth checking out. So next up is tech pubs or technical publications. Over the years, likely you have made a lot of different models, lots of different data. What if you could use that data and put it out to the public, kind of like what we saw with that Finimac model or Finimac catalog? Let's see how easy this is to do. So we're going to make an interactive maintenance publication. So something that's going to be used maybe on a tablet. And there's a bunch of functionalities in here that make this really simple and really easy to use. What's nice is we're able to group our parts into sub-assemblies, name sets, and just making everything a lot easier. Here we're going to add what's called a view carousel, and that just allows us to kind of cycle through various views of our part. You'll notice too just how interactive it is. Now the next page is going to include the step-by-step instructions for cleaning the mold assembly. So the best way to visualize this process is to mimic it through an exploded view with dynamic text boxes that would provide the instructions. So adding buttons to step through the process, it's just really easy. And that's what we're getting to see there. Step by step, click by click, what comes next. Adding an interactive parts list is as simple as just dragging and dropping. And then as you click on a part, you'll see it highlight in the screen. When it comes to publishing this, it can be published in any standard format, 3D PDF, or in this case, it's just a website. It's just HTML. With the new 360-degree publishing, you can get an all-around view of your product. The automated functionality, it allows for a more robust presentation of your designs. It's a great way to capture images for product and for stakeholder meetings. And then we have these clickable SVGs. And you can see it's nice and crisp and clear, even on just this little site. You make one click and it highlights. That way there's no question about what you're doing. It gives you exactly what you need. So with technical publications, we see that you can take advantage of the data that you already have. As I've said, all of us that are doing modeling, we've generated millions of parts. Some customers, they may have upwards of 15 million parts. So can you see how this tool is going to help them? And it has so much faster performance. Also, it's integrated with Teamcenter as well. So all really nice stuff in Solid Edge 2021. This leads us, of course, to data management. Now, we talked a moment ago about how some of our customers have 15 million parts. Well, you've got a lot of parts too. Whether you have 2 seats or 200 seats, Solid Edge has you covered because we have scalable data management. Let's see what that entails. So we're going to look at that pop circle machine. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a couple of concepts of this. We're working in Teamcenter, but we want to make a concept model that is not going to affect any of the other parts in Teamcenter. You might think about this like working in the sandbox. You can do anything you want and there's no repercussions. Well, anything you want CAD-wise. So we can just explore, play around, and now we're saving just that concept model. Well, then we might say, well, we want another one. We want a new concept. We want to see what's that going to look like. So we can add that second concept. Once we finalize our concept and we decide that the one we want is good, well, then that data, it can actually be sent to Teamcenter and it can be sent live. But the nice thing about it is if we didn't want one of these, it was just a concept just for proof, we don't have to worry about having messed up or changed anything. You'll also notice that you can compare your concept 1, concept 2, and what was already done. And once we get everything as desired, the button click seamlessly sent back to Teamcenter. You'll also notice that most of our models, they're having model-based definition. Well, now we're able to take all of this downstream manufacturing info and it's able to be captured by Teamcenter and then visible within that item revision. If you're not using Teamcenter, if you're just using Solid Edge, let's say with Windows, there's a new cool tool called Open As. So you can say, I want to open this part as read only, or I want to open it as something different. And that's going to really help. Another nice tool that we have is the ability to search shapes. So we can make a simple shape and see what else is like that. What's nice about this tool is maybe we're not going to get exactly dead on for what we're wanting, but maybe we'll get a model that's close. And that's going to save us some time, not having to reinvent the entire wheel, if you will. So a lot going on with data management. First, we think about that shape search, that you can search for items that you've already created. There's nothing more irritating than recreating something and then realizing that you yourself had already created it once before. More likely it's a colleague that had done it. But if you've got 100,000 parts, or maybe you have 1,000,000 parts, how are you going to know? That's where we have this nice searching tool. Also with Pack and Go, it has been enhanced. So it allows you to trace the links even outside of a current context. And then as we said, the last one, Open As. We all know what Save As does, but now we've got Open As. So we don't have to worry about opening someone else's files and causing any damage. Inside of Teamcenter, we also have the concept modeler. And this is really nice that you can make a couple of what if scenarios, but you don't have to commit by giving them a part number, creating a bunch of extra superfluous data. No, you can just create these concepts. We also have wire harness and alternate position assembly, so you can visualize that in Teamcenter as well. The next thing we want to talk about is the cloud. Everything's going to the cloud, right? So more and more, we're finding that our customers, they're having to collaborate across their business in different locations, in different parts of the world, or with different customers and different suppliers that are also in different corners of the globe. How does Solid Edge cloud-based collaboration help them? Let's find out together. So being browser-based, this means it can work on your phone, your tablet, your computer. And what's cool is it's not just Solid Edge. It could be NX, it could be any other file format that your company has. And again, since it's browser-based, it's instantly on. And that means that we can improve our productivity. So what we're going to do here is we're going to set up a new project. So it's just kind of guiding us through the steps. So what it's saying is we need to pick some files to load. And what's nice is you'll notice the files, they're all different types. So it could be a PowerPoint, it could be Word, it could be PDF, CAD files, you name it, any different numbers of these. On the right-hand side, you can see that Pathfinder. You can also take and explode parts, or let's put a section through and slice it and see what that looks like. And we're doing this right within a browser. How cool is that? When it comes to taking measurements, we're able to do that right on the fly. And again, I just have to point this out. This is on a browser that we're doing this. So someone could interrogate your model and not even have a Solid Edge. So if you think about the sales or marketing, what a good tool for them. We can also take and mark up our parts, and that'll just show up on the Pathfinder on the right. So maybe it's something that needs to change, or maybe it's something that's done well. So we can have that come up or down. What's nice too is that we're able to take multi-CAD projects. So that's where we have a bunch of different parts, and we're able to use them. So here you can see there's a SolidWorks, a Solid Edge, a DWG, and we're going to bring those all together. Because isn't that what we typically get? Our customer may use one software, we use another. When it comes to sharing that data, it's secure. We just decide who do we want to have access? What kind of access do we want them to have? And that way we don't have to worry about losing that data. And the cool thing is we can take that model that we've made and we can actually use it as part of augmented reality. So here we're going to take that orange juicer and we're going to see what size is it and how does it fit? How does it look on that little table? This gives us immediate design feedback, and we're able to snap a picture of it too. So again, we saw some great stuff when it comes to cloud-based collaboration. As your organization expands, you may have people in different locations, different customers, different suppliers all over the place. With this cloud-based collaboration, you're able to work together. And you notice that it was easy. You can just drag and drop your files just as you need to. You can also view and mark up anything that you want. And this is a great way for you to get a hold of your customers or your suppliers and let them know about any design changes that you might need. It also helps us to keep things safe because you get to choose who gets what level of access to the data. And then finally, augmented reality. Imagine being able to take your part, to take your product and put it into the real world. That is really a good example of fully utilizing the digital twin. So customers, they're already trying this out. PJ, you can see what he had to say about this. So He has a distributed design and manufacturing organization, and it's his ability to use the new cloud-based collaboration tools that allows him to communicate across the globe quickly and easily. And that's the key, is it's quick and it's easy. If you give Solid Edge online cloud collaboration a chance, you're going to find the same thing. So I invite you to start your digital transformation journey. Dive into the digital twin. You've seen a lot of new features this afternoon within Solid Edge 2021. There's a lot to it. We couldn't even show you everything. We got to see some mechanical, electronic design. We got to see the tech pubs, data management, augmented reality, artificial intelligence. Well, all of these things, what are they helping you to do? They're helping you to embrace the digital twin. And that's what's going to help you to succeed or to really surpass any of your customers. So, what are some ways that you can get started? Well, the first thing is you can join the Solid Edge Community Forum. You can see the link to it right here. Now, this is just a whole group of other users of Solid Edge that are passionate about it. Also, when it comes to the free Solid Edge assets, well, you're able to use these for free if you're a student or if you're a startup. And I know that we did have one question asking about that, and this is exactly how you can do it. Get to that education forum. Finally, we talked about next generation cloud collaboration. And an important point to make is this is actually available in an early access mode right now. So if you scan this QR code, then you can get involved in it. So with Solid Edge 2021, it's really where today meets tomorrow. This is getting into the digital twin. So the next steps, well, if you'd like to learn more, simply scan this QR code, or you can send an email, and we'll be able to get back in touch with you and offer you any help. What we found with Solid Edge is that a guided tour is really a great way to get you going. And I can look at the clock and see I'm about out of time. And we did have a question about that free student version. And I'd have to look into it, but I believe it's free as long as you're a student or for 1 year. But I can check into that a little bit more. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for your time and your attention. We had to go through this pretty quick, but if you'd like to learn more, scan the QR code and we'll be in touch. Thank you.